Hello，大家好，我还是想要强调一下，我做这个模考直播只是以答题示范为主。如果我现在去考试，假设我是一个想要拿4个79分的学生，那你可以全程看到我是怎么去答题的。我主要想示范的是，就算你的目标是4个79，你最低限度必须要达到的标准是长什么样子。其实我可以比我今天示范的说的更加的花里胡哨，更加的高级，更加的有内涵，但是这个不是我的目的，因为上限是没有上限的。我用的这个耳机是第一版黑色的那个，你想要尽量出成绩的话，那你还是用专业一点的耳机。反正如果你考过了，你可以卖给下一批的同学嘛，对吧？我的习惯就是放在鼻尖左侧，所以我现在做一个测试，最好你在做测试的时候说一个大长句，尽量模拟一下之后的一个情况。当然了，他这边给了我一个句子。Click record below and repeat the following. I'm here now and I'm ready to start learning. 他说 OK 不代表真的 OK， 所以我现在回听一下。Click record below and repeat the following. I'm here now and I'm ready to start learning. 我今天要做的是最新出的 Test D。Credit unions are non-profit organizations that were imported to the United States from Germany in the early 1900s. They were regulated in 1934 by the Federal Credit Union Act, which limits membership to groups of having a common bond of occupations or association. Groups from particular geographical areas also were eligible to join credit unions. 保证每个单词你要怎么去发。当然我作为79分，我会挑2个字去用 something as usual. Credit unions are non-profit organizations that were imported to the United States from Germany in the early 1900s. They were regulated in 1934 by the Federal Credit Union Act, which limits membership to groups of having a common bond of occupation or something. Groups from particular something areas also were eligible to join credit unions. There are 2 main types of market research. Quantitative research involves collecting a lot of information by using techniques such as questionnaires and other forms of survey. Qualitative research involves working with smaller samples of consumers, often asking them to discuss products and services, while researchers take notes about what they have to say. 要非常注意那些细节，有没有 as 的地方，你要配合这个题目去念得清楚一些。There are 2 main types of market research. Something research involves collecting a lot of information by using techniques such as something and other forms of survey. Something research involves working with smaller samples of consumers, often asking them to discuss products and services, while researchers take notes about what they have to say. This course provides an introduction to the history and development of the British legal system. Its aim is to describe the evolution of the common law of England, the legal system of England, and the legal profession of England, and to introduce you to the study of constitutions as law and to the legal aspects of constitutional systems of government. 这边的就有很多大长句，所以我已经提前看好我要用一个什么样的节奏去读，所以我不慌。This course provides an introduction to the history and development of the British legal system. Its aim is to describe the something of the common law of England, the legal system of England, and the legal profession of England, and to introduce you to the study of some things as law and to the legal aspects of constitutional systems of government. This is an extremely useful resource which ranks books and academic papers on the subject not only in terms of their reliability, but also their readability. As a result, it is likely to save students time and effort that would otherwise have been spent working through a lot of dense texts before finding the one they really need. 有时候我自己也会乱，所以我要给点手势辅助一下。 This is an extremely useful resource which ranks books and academic papers on the subject not only in terms of their something, but also their something. As a result, it is likely to save students time and effort that would otherwise have been spent working through a lot of dense texts before finding the one they really need. Closure activities allow participants to consolidate learning, say goodbye to groupmates, and attend to any unfinished business prior to the ending of the group experience. Generally, these activities involve some reflection upon what has been learned or accomplished during the preceding time together, and a sharing of those thoughts or insights with other participants. Closure activities allow participants to consolidate learning, say goodbye to groupmates, and attend to any unfinished business prior to the ending of group experience. Generally, these activities involve some reflection upon what has been learned or accomplished during the preceding time together, and a sharing of those something or something with other participants. 我差点忘了 something， 太过于投入。Thus, language acquisition might be like other biological functions. The linguistic clumsiness of tourists and students might be the price we pay for the linguistic genius we display as babies, just as the something of age is the price we pay for the vigor of youth. 那个单词我也不会念。Thus, language acquisition might be like other biological functions. The linguistic clumsiness of tourists and students might be the price we pay for the linguistic genius we display as babies, just as the something of age is the price we pay for the something of youth. Repeat sentence.
I look forward to meeting you and to helping you realize your goals.
I'm looking forward to meeting you and helping you to the goal.
Read the fitness center instructions before attempting to use the equipment.
Read the facilities instruction before using the equipment.
The books are filled with drawings of machines he invented when he was a student.
The books is with drawing and the machines when he was a student.
Financial support can be offered to help pay your fees and other costs.
Financial support can help you to pay fees and other costs.
It is necessary to solve the equation to determine the unknown variable.
It is necessary to solve the equation to know the unknown variable.
The book is informative, but it could be accused of political bias.
The book is informative, but it is accused of something biased.
During an official ceremony, a memorandum of understanding was signed by the academic dean.
During the something, the memory of the referendum is during the something.
Our tutorial will take place on the second floor in room 1.
Our tutorial will take place on the second floor in room 1.
The library offers group study rooms so you can work with other students.
The library offers group study rooms so you can take with other students.
Proficiency in a foreign language may be demonstrated by assessment.
Proficiency in another language may be demonstrated in something. 文字数字 Average rainfall in inches New York, Dallas, Phoenix, Honolulu 47.25 33.70 7.66 22.02 This picture shows average rainfall in inches. This picture shows New York and Dallas. This picture shows Phoenix and Honolulu. This picture shows 47.25. This picture shows 33.7. This picture shows 7.66. This picture shows 22.02. In conclusion, this picture is very useful. 我的模板又精简了，所以这一次给大家示范一下。Recycling, manufacturers, retailers, consumers, recyclers. Recycling. This picture shows the process of recycling. This picture shows manufacturers. This picture shows retailers. This picture shows consumers. This picture shows recyclers. In conclusion, this picture is very useful. Amount of food wasted per year in UK in megatons per year. Food and drink manufacturers, distribution and retail companies, private household, hospitality sector and institutions. Saved, recycled, thrown away. 这题数字应该没什么时间了，所以无所谓。This picture shows amount of food wasted per year in UK in megatons. This picture shows megatons per year. This picture shows food and drink manufacturers. This picture shows distribution and retail companies. This picture shows private household. This picture shows hospitality sector and institutions. This picture shows saved or recycled. This picture shows thrown away. This picture shows 2 megatons. This picture shows 4 megatons. In conclusion, this picture is useful. The life cycle of a frog: eggs, embryo, tadpole with 2 legs, tadpole with 4 legs, frog. This picture shows the life cycle of a frog. This picture shows eggs. This picture shows embryo. This picture shows tadpole. This picture shows tadpole with 2 legs. The next step shows tadpole with 4 legs. The next step shows frog. In conclusion, this picture is very useful. 我刚刚换了一句模板，就是其实这两句都一样，所以我就分开示范了一下。Percentage of students aged 5 to 17 taught at home USA 1999, 2003, 2007, 2012. 如果你读数字不是很厉害，你就不要一起读。我会示范2种。This picture shows percentage of students aged 5 to 17 taught at home USA. The first value can be found by 1999, which is about 1.7%. The second value can be found by 2003 at about 2.2%. The next value can be found by 2007. The next value can be found by 2012. The picture shows 2.9%. The picture shows 3.4%. In conclusion, this picture is very useful. OK, 我刚刚示范了2个不同版本，大家自行揣摩。Percentage of students from disadvantaged backgrounds entering university in England. Percentage, 60% increase. Years, 2006, 2007, 2009, 2008, 2010, 2011. This picture shows percentage of students from disadvantaged backgrounds entering university in England. This picture shows percentage.
This picture shows 60% increase. This picture shows years. The first value can be found by 2006. The next value can be found by 2007. The next value can be found by 2008. The next value can be found by 2009. The next value can be found by 2010. In conclusion, this picture is very useful.
So let me begin with the notion of a dimension. The dimension is simply how many numbers that you need to specify a location. So if we think about the surface of the Earth, the equator is one-dimensional. You need to specify only one number to specify a location on the equator, namely the longitude. The surface of the Earth altogether is, of course, two-dimensional. You need to specify two numbers, the latitude and longitude, to specify a location on the Earth. The space above the Earth is three-dimensional. If I want to tell you the location of a hang glider, I need to give you the latitude, longitude, and altitude. But mathematically, there's no reason to stop at 3 dimensions. A 4-dimensional space is simply a space in which you need to specify 4 numbers to specify a location in that space. A 5-dimensional space would be one in which you need to specify 5 numbers, etc. In fact, I claim you already know an example of a 4-dimensional space. So let's define an event just to be an occurrence that happens in a small region of space at a definite time. In other words, an event is like a snap of your fingers or a clap of your hands. And now the collection of all events, if I want to specify an event, I need to give you 4 numbers. I need to tell you where it happens in space and when it happens in time.
然后我快速描演这个图非常相关，所以我决定先读图再读笔记。This picture shows dimension numbers needed to specify location. This lecture shows longitude followed by latitude. This lecture shows altitude followed by time. This lecture shows Earth and equator. This lecture shows surface of the Earth and location. This lecture shows surface above the Earth and 3 dimensions. This lecture shows 4 numbers followed by space. This lecture shows 5-dimension space followed by event. This lecture shows occurrence followed by small region. This lecture shows collection of all events. In conclusion, this lecture is very useful.
The first results on the Welsh language were reported in March 2003. The census found that there were 576,000 Welsh speakers aged 3 and over, or 21% of the population, which represents a 2% increase since 1991. The proportion of people in Wales aged 3 and over who can speak, read and write Welsh increased from 13.6% to 16.3% over the period 1991 to 2001. A further 138,000, or 5% of the population, said they understood Welsh but did not speak it. In addition, 84,000 gave a combination of positive responses that was imprecise, making it difficult to work out whether they could understand, speak, read, or write Welsh. The growth in the number of Welsh speakers has occurred largely in the south and east of the country.
也是非常相关的一张图。This lecture shows 2001 census data Welsh speakers. This lecture shows total number of speakers. This lecture shows able to speak, read, and write. This lecture shows able to understand but not speak. This lecture shows imprecise data. This lecture shows result followed by 21% of the population. This lecture shows 2% increase and 5% of the population. This lecture shows 84,000 followed by positive response. This lecture shows growth in Welsh speakers. In conclusion, this lecture is very useful.
The most visible manifestation of this wealth was a series of grand projects that were begun by Napoleon III, mainly in Paris, soon after he came to power in the 1850s. He said, "I want to be a second Augustus," making reference to the Emperor Augustus's claim that he'd found Rome a city of brick and left it one of marble. In the case of Napoleon III, he found Paris in 1851 a city of cobblestones and twisting medieval streets, and he left it one of asphalt and macadam, because what he began doing was bulldozing old Paris, the ancient medieval part of Paris, and replacing it with wide new boulevards, 85 miles of them, that he lit with some 20,000 gas lamps, which he took out all the old 18th century oil lamps, replaced them with gas, which gave a much cleaner, brighter, regular light. Also 50,000 trees are planted alongside them, many of them the chestnut trees that we now think of as synonymous with Paris. And he drained the streets with 200 miles of sewers, these new famous Parisian sewers beneath the streets, thereby making the city a much more safer, pleasant place to wander, to stroll, to people watch, to have coffee or absinthe in the cafes.
这张图没有什么特别的用处。This lecture shows project followed by Napoleon. This lecture shows Paris followed by marble. This lecture shows city of stones followed by medieval street. This lecture shows gas lamp followed by regular lights. This lecture shows trees and plants followed by sewers. This lecture shows safer place followed by coffee in cafe. In conclusion, this lecture is very useful. Answer short question.
How many years are in a decade?
10.
What do you use to identify yourself when you arrive in a foreign country?
Passport.
What do you press when you arrive at someone's front door?
Doorbell.
In which academic field do people study things that happened in the past?
Historian, geographist, archaeologist.
What is the occupational title for the composer of a novel?
Novelist, writer.
What do you call a person who is receiving care in a hospital?
Patient.
The terms circumference, diameter, and radius refer most commonly to which geometric shape?
Round, circle.
What do you call a person who trains a team of athletes?
Coach, teacher, tutor.
To find a detailed topographical map of Africa, what kind of reference book would be best to use?
I don't know.
What is the term for an extended speech by one person in a play?
No idea.
因为我之前在我的视频里面立了一个 flag， 我的下一次直播模考的时间就是 PTE 出D卷的时候，那我肯定得还债嘛。如果你的目标分数是79，口语拿90是一个必需品。大概率来说，你口语拿90，你才有优势去拿到4个79。它是一个基本盘。如果你在 RA 是每题错2个词，跳过生词和 something 是一样的，跟我读错扣的分数是一样的。你看刚刚我那个 repeat sentence， 可能说的100%全的，也就2题非常非常短的题，但是剩下的所有的题我都有漏，这是第一点。而且有其中1题我做的非常差。你看我那一题，我一个大名词都没有记住，我就记住了一个什么 from 什么 from 什么这样的一种结构
构性的东西。但是我有没有慌？我没有，一定要有足够的自信，就是你哪怕一个实质的词都没有在这个句子里面，你都要大声的用 something 去把句子的这个音调的完整性给它 cover 掉。你的分数会有影响在内容上，但是流利度不会有很大的影响。至少在我刚刚的示范里面，把口语的最核心的东西练好，流利，不能卡壳，不能犹豫。模板可以让你 keep talking， 固定好的一些套词可以让你 keep talking。自信不是说我自信就可以了，要有一些工具能够辅助你。第二个就是发音，说话要利索。第三个就是内容，内容就是网，你可以错，但是你要有对的答题思路 ，fully covered 所有的内容。除了你真的不会的，比如说 I 那个单词我真的不会读 ，OK something 过掉无所谓。Repeat sentence 我复述不到的那个小 part 无所谓。Retell lecture 有的一些信息我真的漏掉无所谓，但是剩下的部分不要有任何一丝的失误，这个是需要练习的。